All right, so we're up to Ois Hey. Uh, the Rebbe will continue to explain now the different levels in an Oshir and an Oni. And the Rebbe will say that, as the Rebbe explained before, that these were the three levels of Memala Kol Almim, Seviv Kol Almim, and the level of a higher level of Atzmus. And the Rebbe is going to connect this now, the three yonim of B'chol Levavcha, or B'chol Nafshecha, and B'chol Meidecha, which is also similar to these three levels. B'chol Levavcha is the level that brings the person to Memala Kol Almim, gives him the reflection of Memala Kol Almim. B'chol Nafshecha is Seviv Kol Almim, but B'chol Meidecha is even higher than both of them. But the Rebbe brings out the second level, the level of Asher Yechsar Loi, which means that it's something which he is lacking. We have one thing, that he is lacking. That's the normal lacking. Then is Asher Yechsar Loi, that individual is lacking because he's used to it. You have to give him the horse, you have to give him the slave. That the Rebbe is connected to the level of B'chol Nafshecha, and that's connected to the Nefesh HaLikis, and what it's used to, meaning because the Nefesh HaLikis, before it came down, it would used to that level of connection to Seviv Kol Almim. So it's Asher Yechsar Loi. Let's look inside. Hey. Hine achiluk bein dein machsere v'asher yechsar loy. The difference between the enough what he's lacking and that which is lacking to him, the negeya la'oni kipshute, as it relates to literally to the poor person. Who loy rak bozeh shahashefa da'asher yechsar loy Ushefa Godly is not just the fact that the flow that is lacking to him, that level, what you're giving him, Hushefa Godly Yosef, that it's a greater, it's a larger Shefa, a larger flow to him, which would be a Filusus Lirkev Oloveh, but Lotus the fun of the horse to ride on it and the servant to run before him. So that's more than just getting your needs. So besides the fact that that's more, it's not just more, it's different because it's unique that's to him. Elogam also she'inyan asher yechsar loi, when say he's like modavke lemisha darke bekach. This is specifically to somebody who is accustomed to it. So we're saying you give him asher yechsar loi. So now the Rebbe wants to say the same thing as we talk about in the Olamais, when we say in the level of Sevim Kol Almim, the Hamshocha of Asher Yechsar Loi is specifically Lemisha Darke Bekach, because it's the Nefesh Elikis which is accustomed. Mapi Hayadua, based on what we know that is known, that all aspects of Torah are totally precise. So when we give the example of Seviv Kol Almin to the level of Yechsar Loi, is also, this is what you're fulfilling Yechsar Loi, what he's accustomed to. So Tzorich Loimar, we have to say, Shehadim Yein Dishnei Hagiluyim, the Memala V'Seviv, the revelation of these two Giluyim, the comparison. of these two Giluim, of Memali and Seviv. Lishnei ha'inyonim, to these two aspects of the Demach Seiroi, that which is lacking, and the other level, Vashe Yachsaloi, who loy rak mipnei shegilui haseviv hu gilui naila yesem. It is not just because the revelation of Seviv is higher than the revelation of Mamali. It's more, but it's different. Elogam, but it's also li shehainyan de milui hachesorin shal yidei gilui haseviv. Because the idea that you fulfill the need through the revelation of this Seviv, this is specifically to somebody who is accustomed. That aspect, that the Gilui of Seviv is similar to Asher Yechsar Loi, means that the Gilui of Seviv is to fulfill Dafke for a person who's accustomed to it. How is that? So how does that explain with regards to Seviv? The Rebbe will explain now. In Avodas Ha'adam, we also have a similar to these three levels of Mamale, Seviv, and Atzvos. Yes, Loimar Habir Bazer can say the explanation of Pimashkos about Maimer. Based on what it says in the Maimer, the Gimul HaMadregis Sheba Ave, that the three levels in Ave, B'chol Levavcha, that's with all your heart. That's the level number one. B'chol nafshecha, all your soul, u'b'chol meidecha, and all your being. And begimul madreges hanal. These are the three levels that we talked about before. Ha'ava de b'chol levavucha hi b'bchinas malakul almen. The love, which is b'chol levavucha, we told you that that's in the level of Memalakul Almin, which means that level of love that brings you with all your heart, what you're reflecting is in the level of godliness that fills the world. How so? The Al Yidei Sheyizboinen Shahachayis Shel Kol Dovod Hu Elikus. When the person reflects that the vitality, the chayis of everything is godliness. That means namalakul almin, that what fills, what creates, what gives the energy, everything in the world is godliness. So then yavoy la'avos Hashem b'chol levavcha. Then it will bring him, he will come to loving Hashem with all your heart, which is Bishnei Yitzerecha, with both of your inclinations, meaning the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. Because why? The Kivon Shahachayis, the Bechinas, Memalekol Almin, Umelubesh Bahanivroim B'Pnimiyusam. Since that energy, the vitality of the level of Memalekul Almin, the level of godliness that fills the world, is dressed up in the creation, in their inner, it comes down in their pnimius. Lochein, and therefore, al yidei ha'hizboinenus, through the reflection, nirgash chayezeh gam benefesh habahamis, you feel that energy, that life force, also nefesh habahamis. So the level of b'chol levavcha, meaning that you have both the nefesh elokis and the nefesh habahamis, the Shnei Yitzerecha, is because it's memalakul and it fills the world, and therefore he sends the chayis, also the animal soul, and the b'chol levavcha, all encompassing also the nefesh habahamis. But then you have the other love is all your soul. It's a different reflection of here. Not in Memali, that is when he reflects into the level of the godliness that surrounds the world, not the Memali, but the Seivah. Da'idei ha'hizboinenus. Shahachayis eliki shemislabish ba'elamis. Hua ora bilvad. Through reflecting that the godly vitality that dresses up in the world is merely ha'ora bilvad. It's a shine. The level that is memale is not really the whole oil. The oil is left is a sefer klam. It is no comparison to the essence of sefer. So he sees that the oil that relates to him in this world, the memale, has no comparison to the oil sefer. Nirgash etzlei hahaflo deinisof. So then he feels, by him is felt the a greatness, the haflo, the distinction of Einisof. Through that feeling of the haflo Einisof, then he's going to come to that level of love of B'chol Nafshecha. The first level brought him to B'chol Vavchamim Al. Now that he's reflecting that this oir is just a ha'ara uncomparable, it brings him to the hafloah, feeling it, brings him to B'chol Nafshecha, which means that he loves Hashem in such a way that he's ready to give up his life. Afilu noiteles nafshecha, even it takes your life. That means B'chol Nafshecha, meaning even if it costs your life, a total devotion, totally love to Hashem, that you give up everything for that love to Hashem, even if it costs you your life. He wishes, he wants to go out of his being, of his being here, his mitzias, and he wants to be included in the Ein Sof. But ba'ava zu hirak b'nefesh halikis. That level of b'chol nafshecha, level of mesidas nefesh, the level of the sevim kol almin is only in the godly soul. Ushnei taimim lozeh. There's two reasons why this can only be in the godly soul and not in nefesh habahamis. Ki ha'asoge be'ofen deha'kora v'hargosha. Because to grasp it into such a way that you recognize it and you feel it, we're not talking about just knowing it. We're talking about to grasp it in a way that you can actually recognize and feel it. That's when it brings you to love. If you'll just know it, it won't lead you to love. In order to lead to love of B'chol Nafshecha, it must be that you must recognize it and feel it. And to understand Bahaflos, the Ein Sof, in the exaltness, the greatness of the Ein Sof, so that you want to go out to it, you want to expire, you want to lose your mitzias, that can only be in the godly soul, cannot be in the nefesh habahamis. It's only the godly soul. Why shorshahu b'shem havaya? The root of the nefesh halikis is in the shem havaya, which is the level of seviv. Masha'enken hanivroim, as opposed to the created being. Ki von sheshorshamu b'shem halikim. Memale, since they are rooted in the name of halikim, the memale, efsher li is bohem. It's impossible to be by them. Afilu b'malochim or mekolshkim b'nefesh habahamis, even in the angels. And certainly not in Nefesh habahamis, hahasoge, to grasp ba'ofen the hakore v'hargoshe b'havaya seviv, to be able to have that recognition and feeling in havaya, which is seviv. He says inherently, because nivroim are rooted in shem elikim, memali, they cannot grasp the shem havaya and the seviv kol almin. In order to have the hakora v'hargosha, to come to b'chol nafshecha, that's only the nefesh halikis, because the nefesh halikis is rooted in shem havaya. So that's one reason why the whole nafshecha is only the nefesh elikis and not the nefesh habahamis. And then another reason, v'gam lifisha nefesh habahamis in yona hu metzius. The nefesh habahamis, the animal soul, what is the soul of the animal? Is being a metzius, an entity. But va'aba the b'chol nafshecha yisharoitze lotzes mimetziusei v'li kolel b'ein sof. The love of b'chol nafshecha is there. There is the want to leave your metzius and to be klunei sof. Heipach inyan metzius, which is the opposite of metzius. So the nefesh habahamis cannot have b'chol nafshecha because this goes against what the nefesh habahamis is. Nefesh habahamis is metzius. And here you're saying b'chol nafshecha to lose your metzius, to give up your metzius. So for these two reasons, first of all, the nefesh habahamis comes from the shem Alikim, and therefore it cannot get Seivim, which is from Shem Havaya. And number two is Nefesh HaBahamis is Metzias, and this is Bitla Metzias, the Chol Nafshecha. So that's why this is only belongs to the Nefesh Alikis. So the Ha'ava, the B'chol Levavecha, the Ha'ava B'chol Levavecha, which is also by the Nefesh habahamis habo al yidei ha'izboinenus v'ha'hakodes shachayis shel kol dover hu elikus. That recognition and the reflection that the vitality of everything is godly. Shayeches limitziusei shel ha'odam ha'oyev. That is connected to the Metzias, to the existence of the person that he loves. When you have a love, because everything is godliness, but that's your Metzias, that you love this existence that Hashem fills the world and gives that entity, makes it to a Metzias. Just like a person loves himself. What does it mean? He loves the vitality, the energy, and he wishes the expansion of the chayis of the person. So likewise, when he understands and he feels that the main thing is the godly chayas, that's when it was godliness. So wanting godliness does not contradict his metzias. Fakert, he wants his metzias, and he realizes that the Eibishter is his metzias, the chayas elikis. So that's why he wants godliness. V'lochein ahabazu shayeches gam lenefesh habahamis. That's why that love of memalekul almim also has a connection to the animal soul. As opposed to the level of Abba b'chol nafshecha, which is the wish to lose your metzias, shiharotzin lotzis mimetzius emilikolo beinin. So that's the want to leave and go out of your metzias and to be included in the Ein Sof. Hirak b'nefesh elikis. That's only in the godly soul, because losing metzias doesn't belong to the nefesh habahamis. Nefesh habahamis build metzias. B'chol levavcha is building his metzias. His pashtus achayis for his metzias, but b'chol nafshecha, to give up your metzias, that's only nefesh elikis. L'kivon sheshorshehi b'shem havai yisoyim. Since the root of the godly soul is in the Shem Havai, which is Seviv, and even after the soul descended below, it's still a part of the Shem Havai. That his people is part of Havaya. That means even when the neshama comes down into this world, yesh lo harotzin lotzis mimitziusa v'likolol b'shorsho soiva. That's why it has the desire, it has the want to go out of his mitzias and be included in the source in the level of soiva, because it comes from Havaya, it comes from soiva, the nefesh shalikis. He wants to go back to the soiva. That's why it is b'chol nafshecha to go out of the mitzias. So now, Balpi hayedua sheyiridas haneshama lemato hi yirida tzedek aliyah. So now, just going back to the root of the nefesh alikis, which is the shem havayis seven kol almim, then what would be the purpose to come down into this world? So the neshama comes down. This a yirida tzedek aliyah. It's a descent so that it can go up, meaning that it should go even higher than where it came down. I knew that means shall yidei yiridoso lemato, through its descent below, tis'ale lemadrega nailis yoser b'kemoisha hoyso koyin yiridoso. It should be elevated to a higher madrega than it was before it descended. So based on that, we need to even that we know that the neshama goes up even higher. Movement is understood. Shehakavone b'yiridas haneshama lemata. What is the intent of the soul descending below? It should even go up higher than its root, higher than Sarif. That's the level of B'chol Me'idecha, a higher level than even than B'chol Nafshecha. Hanisidas nefesh ba'kiloyin ba'atzmus eirei sof. That self-sacrifice, that expiring in Atzmus, not in Soiva, but even in Atzmus, Shalamayla Gam is Soiva, which is even higher than Soiva. Okay, so now that we said that these are these three avodas, and we said that the Deim Asher Yechsar Loi, which is the level of Soiva of Kol Almin, is dafke for the nefesh halikis. So yesh loymar. So here we can say the zeh shemidui hachisoren shal yidei gilui o haseviv. This, that filling the lacking which takes place through the revelation of the seviv, who al derech asher yechser loy. It's similar to that he was lacking. Lemisho yedarke b'kach, somebody who was accustomed to this is precise who. Because the souls were accustomed before, they descended below. They were accustomed to the revelation of Seviv. So that's Asher Yechser Loi, they're lacking. So you're filling something which they're lacking because they had it before. The Nefesh Bahamis never had it. So therefore, when we're talking about the reflection and the Seviv Kulamim that you get through the level of B'chol Nafshecha, that's called Asher Yechser Loi, that he was lacking, because when he came down into this world, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have what the Neshama had before, so it's lacking. And by reaching the level of B'chol Nafshecha, he gets Asher Yechser Loi. But the Rebbe asks now in Oz Vav, that so the seems like the Asher Yechsar Loi, what's lacking is only as far as the neshamas goes. But the Rebbe brings down that it seems like from the Maimer that Asher Yechsar Loi, that the world is lacking, not just the neshama. Look inside Bo. We need to understand the Lefi Biur Hanal, that according to this explanation, that B'chol nafshecha is the gilu hasoivev, which is dafke, and it's filling the lack, is dafke in regards to the neshamas. Zeh shagilu hasoivev hu bechlal milu hachasorin hu dafke b'negel neshamas. That's why the revelation of soivev, which is included, that means filling the lacking, only applies to the neshamas. The neshama needs soivev because it had it. But as far as the world that Nefesh Bahamis doesn't, it's not, it never had it. It's not, don't have to fill it for the world, for Nivroim. As opposed to, as it relates to the created being. So it's not fit to say, so to speak, that the revelation of Seviv is filling the Chesed. Because the Nivroim are not accustomed to Seviv, so they're not lacking when they don't have Seviv. But the Maimer, maybe Maimer Mashomer Razal, but the Maimer brings down, to fulfill the Chesaron, he brings down the saying of our sages of blessed memory, Ma hoya ha'olam chaser menucha chulu. What was the world lacking? When comes Shabbos, Shabbos is the Gilu Yasem of Kol Almim, and that came because the world was machsoir ashiyachsad loy, was lacking. But here we're saying it wasn't the neshama that was lacking; it was the world that was lacking. That means this idea that they were accustomed to is also lacking for the world, for the Nivroi. Move on. The when we don't have the revelation of Seviv, which is Menucha, that would be a lacking also in the world, not just a lacking in the Neshama. So why is that? So how come we're saying that it's a lacking also in the world? According to this explanation, it seems it's only in the Neshama. But the Rebbe explains that that this is actually the impact of the neshama when it comes down into this world. It also elevates the world, and the world also begins to lack. It's also sheyechsad loy for the world itself. The Yeshloima, we can say, the kivon sheiker hakavon b'didas haneshama he loy b'shvila liyad neshama. Since the main intent b'didas haneshama lamata, why did the neshama come down below? We loy b'shvilha liyad neshama. It's not so that the neshama is elevated. Elo b'chdei l'sakin ulhalis esa'olam, but to correct, to fix, and to elevate the world. So all this is not just to give the neshama a higher level, but it's for the neshama to fix the world. Therefore, al yidei ha'avad b'chol nafshecho shel haneshamas k'meshiyortu lamata ba'olam, through the level of abuchol nafshecho of the souls as they came down to the world. Mis'ale ha'olam lemadrega nailis yeser mek'meshu mitzadatzme. So the world is elevated to a higher level more than it is on its own. The world on its own is stuck at the level of memale, it's not lacking, but the neshama that came down, and they have the level of b'chol nafshecha, they bring up the world to a higher level than it is mitzad atzma, than it's on its own. Shenase shayich ladarga deseviv. The world becomes, and it has a connection now to the level of seviv, to that which the neshama has. Al derech hashaychas in neshamas l'seviv, similar to the shaychas in neshamas l'seviv. Just like the neshama is connected to seviv, the world also becomes connected through the neshamas. The ad, to such an extent, it has a connection to seviv. If seviv does not shine, the world is lacking. That's why we're saying, Bo Shabbos, Bo Menucha. The world lacks Menucha. because through the avodah of the Yid, that brought the world up to a higher level. So also Asher Yechsar Loi applies also to the world. Okay, let's leave this over here,
Okay.
and then we'll be okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.